everybody, welcome to Bones Collector. This is a video series where Lori and I are taking the time to play through our library 2 or 3 games at a time and then making a video. We want to do that so that we can show you the games all set up so you can get an idea about what is in the box, and then I can tell you how to play the game in a little more detail. We hope you enjoy this series, and I'm always telling you that we play our library, and that's what I wanted to show you and why I wanted to make this video series. So I hope you enjoy it. Okay everybody, so this is Santiago de Cuba. This is one of the games I'm going to be talking about today, and it's a game designed by Michael Reineck. And Michael Reineck is a reputable board game designer, and I think he teamed up with Stefan Feld on a game called Merlin that was very well received, and we've played that a few times and enjoyed it. And Santiago de Cuba came out in 2011. It's for 2 to 4 players. It's a pick up and deliver game. You have some dice rolling, commodity speculation, a small game board as you can see, and you also use a shared avatar, this little jalopy that you're going to be cruising around Santiago in. So that's pretty cool. And it was by Eagle Griffin Games. It's a small box game. This is kind of, it's like I think Carcassonne, that kind of thing. So I like this size game box. And let's talk about a little bit of the physical properties of this game. Again, it has a small game board, and I love that. I love that. Lori sits right here, I sit right here, and we can play this game without having to look and reach and read things that are far away. That's important when you're our age. So we really enjoy this game because of that. So you got these little meeple playing pieces that you're going to use in your player color, and those are just to go on some of these buildings, outlying buildings. And then you have wooden dice that you're going to roll after each shipment from the port. So it has a little bit of everything in this game, and it is a lot of fun. The only problem with this game is it's very difficult to find. I bought this game very inexpensively, and we really liked it, and for whatever reason I sold it to a friend. Later on I bought it back from that same friend, so I was very appreciative to him for allowing me to do that. Now that we've got it back in our library, it has everything that I like in a board game, and it has enough to think about. It's a light to medium complexity game, and here's how it works, you guys. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Cuban tiles, and each Cuban guy or girl has a different name. There's Maria, Pablo, Pedro, Martinez, and on each Cuban tile are 2 different things you're going to do. You're going to do this one on the left immediately, and this says $3. And on the right, it has the color of rose. And whichever color that rose is, you're going to go to that district and take one of those 3 actions with your playing piece or your meeple here. So in other words, if you move this card to Maria over here, she says you get 2 points, and you're going to take a 2-point tile. And then you're going to go to this district where there's 3 red roses and choose one of those actions to take with your playing piece. So when you're moving this vehicle, you have 2 things to think about. First of all, do I need and can I use that first action? And then you have to look at the color of rose, look at that district, and say which one, if any, of those 3 actions would I like to do and to help me out. One of the building tiles is flipping over one of the Cubans so that your opponent can't use it. So that comes into play too. It's got a little bit of interaction. All of the cubes are just hexagon cubes, except the wood, they're square. But they have different colors, and it signifies different resources. Rum, sugar, cigars, tobacco, and fruit. I hope I said everything. So anyways, they're all different colors, and you have to think about what your opponent has when you're looking at these Cuban tiles, because you can see down on the port maybe that we need 2 tobacco to ship. So if you want to shut them out and stop them from going to port and getting points for that, then you can turn that tile over. So there's a little bit of interaction in this game. You have victory point tiles that you are going to be earning throughout the game, and ultimately the most victory points at the end of this game is going to win. And you only get points for these victory point tiles and any of those hexagon resources that you have left over. You get a point for every 3 of them. So in this case, I had 5 left over. I only got 1 point. So you're not going to score a lot of points with these. But again, the victory point tiles is what you're going to count at the end of the game, and that's going to determine who won the game. Money means nothing at the end of the game, but money can buy you spaces. In other words, when you're moving this avatar, you get to move it one space for free. Anything past that, you pay $1 a space. Now, that can be very important because at the end of the game, my opponent, Lori, went here to this space. I went to the next space on my turn. She went to the next space, I believe, on her next turn, and then I paid to go all the way to the port. Cost me $6, but again, who cares? I had the $6. This was the last ship because it plays in 7 rounds, and once that 7th ship sails, the game is done. You count your points up, and the winner is the one with the most victory points. So I spent that money because it didn't mean anything, to go all the way around to the port so that I could get the die with the highest demand, which was the black one, and that needed 2, and I sold those 2 for 2 points apiece, got 4 points. The only other die in the port that needed anything was this tobacco die, and it needed 1, which Lori sold, and our score was so close. It was 62 to 59, and if I hadn't spent that money and she had gotten, somehow she would have won that game. It was a great move. I gambled. I don't really know how many points she had because they were turned over, but I thought, you know what, I would rather have those 2 cigars than the 1 tobacco, and it paid off in the end. But yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of fun, this game to play, and it only took us a half an hour to play it, and it can take a little longer. I think when we first set it up, this is our 3rd play in a row, and the first time I think it took us almost an hour, second play a little less, and then this time it took us only half an hour, and we zoomed along quite a bit in this game. But some of the other things you're going to do in this game is each player has 3 of these building markers, and when you go to this Cuban, Alonzo, it tells you can place one of your markers and then take the White Rose District action. So you get to place one of your markers on an unoccupied building in one of these districts. So you look at those building tiles and ask yourself, which one of those would I like to place my marker on? Because whenever an opponent goes to that tile with your marker on it, you get a point from the bank. They don't have to pay you anything, but the bank pays you a point. So that's kind of handy. So they're really going to have to think about whether they want to go there or not. So that's really fun too. And I really, really enjoy that. Again, you have these Cubans that you're going to be taking 2 actions every time you go to one of those spaces, and one of those actions is to go to one of these 4 districts, and you can change the power of those districts simply by where you place your building markers. So that kind of has a little bit of fluctuation. Okay, so I wanted to give you a better look at the board, so I wanted to hold this up so you could see it. And it has the round counter down here where you have the ship tile, and then the building districts here where I told you about the roses, different colored roses. You can see those real good. And then the Cuban spaces that go right here. Now every time you play the game, you're going to lay those Cuban tiles out at random and these district tiles out at random. So it's going to change with every game, and that's a really wonderful thing. The variability of those tiles makes this game play differently every time, and that's really, really a beautiful thing. And then you have this little ship down at the bottom. Every time a ship leaves a port, which is when you meet all the demands on these dice that you roll, then that ship will move up 1, and then you have a commodity speculating little marker here. It's the blue marker, and it depends on where that's at in the port as to how many points you get when you satisfy those particular resources in the ship. So it goes 2, 3, and 4. The most you can get is 4 points. It's not a complicated game, but it's a fun game. It's in my library. It's not in my Ultimate Top 100 of board games when I do that video. But that doesn't mean I don't love it. I do love it. And I love so much about it that we are going to keep it. There's certain times where you want a specific type of challenge. And in this case, you would want a challenge that you can get done in 30 minutes and have a little bit of intellectual challenge. That's what Santiago de Cuba offers you. And so we keep it in our library. We have several games like that, and most of our games play in 1 hour or less, and that's what we really, really like to do, as you know if you watch this channel. So yeah, this one fits that bill, even actually less than that once you get used to it, and you can play it very quickly. It has everything, like I say, commodity speculation, point-to-point movement, resource management, dice rolling. I mean, it's just a very fun experience. You get these little player screens because you want to hide your resources. You don't want anybody to know what color the resources are that you have, because they'll be able to block you in the port. So there's all these little things going on. just enough to think about, just enough interaction. It's not a mean game by any stretch of the imagination. It does have one tile, El Zorro, but El Zorro says that if you go there, your opponent has to give you $1, a resource, or a point out of their own supply. So generally speaking, it usually ends up being $1 because money means nothing at the end of the game. And yeah, that's it. That's Santiago de Cuba. I hope you guys get a chance to try this game out. But if you like Euro games and you like a small board, if you like just enough thinkiness to keep your mind busy and work it out a little bit in 30 minutes, Santiago de Cuba is for you also. So yeah, check this game out. Hey everybody, so this is Rune Stones. Rune Stones is a 2019 game designed by Rudiger Dorn, published by Queen Games. It's for 2 to 4 players. It's a deck builder, an engine builder, and a hand management game. And it's a lot of fun. The winning condition is the first one to 65 points, and I'll explain that in a minute. But let's talk about the production of this board game. It's not very good by Queen Games, which is I'm kind of not used to. Queen Games usually does a pretty good job. I don't know who to blame for this Kleenex box. It's terrible. It's so thin that the first copy we received, the bottom was, you couldn't tell because the top wasn't split, but the bottom of the box was split on a corner. We had to send it back and got another one. But I mean, I can't blame Amazon. I can't blame delivery people when you got a box like this. You obviously are asking for problems. And then on top of that, they give you this garbage thing that goes, it's the instant, you know, I don't know what that thing does. Why even, I don't know why you bother that. Why even, look at that. Look how, yeah, let's see. Yeah, it comes like, this is a waste of money. Or, you know, I mean, just take this cardboard and make a thick box. I was really upset about that, and I wanted to tell everybody. So, and because of that, I think did we pay $30 for this game? We paid $30 for this game, and it's not worth any more than that. The game is excellent. Rudiger Dorn is a great board game designer. The game is really good. It's really fun, but because of that box, I mean, that drives me nuts. And the board doesn't lay flat either. In today's board gaming world, those kinds of things are pretty unforgivable. Now, the Rune Stones themselves are nice thick tiles. Your player board that you're going to use is nice and thick. That's good. The card stock is fine for what it is. The gems are your usual chiseled out gems, and the ore that you're going to use is fine thickness. The artifacts are fine as far as the artifacts tokens. And you got a wooden die here, and it comes with stickers that you have to put on. You know, it's okay. It works. But an engraved die would have been pretty nice in this game, and it deserves it because this is a really good game. Yeah, the box should have been a lot thicker, and again, the board should have been one that's thick enough to lay flat. This is not a quality board, game board. And I guess that's all I want to say about that. So let's talk about the gameplay, because the game was amazing. It's a lot of fun. You start out with your own druid deck, and everybody's a druid, and you're trying to be the king druid. So you're trying to get to 65 over here and put your marker on that throne. That's me. That was me. So once you get to 65, that triggers the end of the game. But everybody gets to have equal number of turns. But in our first game, we were very, very close. In the second game, I did a better job with my engine building of Rune Stones, because you can play this game a couple of different ways, and you can sandbag and collect gems and ore and try to score 15 points every time you turn in your artifacts. Or you can turn those artifacts in once you just get 2 of them, and you get 3 points and you get a rune stone. Once you get a rune stone, it gives you a special benefit that makes the game go faster a little bit for you. And then another rune stone makes the game even better, and a third rune stone, and you're really cooking. And that's the engine building part of this game. You're doing that with these rune stones, trying to get ones that will help you. There's only 8 in the game, and there's a couple of expansions for this game. I understand we do have one expansion, the Enchanted Forest. I'll mention that again in a minute. But you have 8 rune stones up here, and that's all that's available during the course of the game. Now, your druid deck is a deck of 8 cards. Everybody starts out with a deck of 8 cards in their druid deck. And like other deck builders, you're simply going to draw a set number of cards, which is 4, off the top of the deck, and that's going to be your hand to start. Every card has a number on it and a benefit or an action of some kind. There are 3 things you can do on your turn. Number 1, you can summon a creature off of this creature row of cards. And there's all these creatures up here, and they have different values that are printed on the board. Okay, in your deck of cards, your cards are laid out in a couple of different ways. First of all, these little dots at the top are your magic points. The second number is the number of the card, and the third, on the bottom, is whatever benefit or action you can take with that card. And they're printed the same on the left and the right, so you can hold them in your hand no matter whether you're left-handed or right-handed, doesn't matter. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's printed on both sides of the card. And then every druid, every deck is different. This was my druid, this old guy who's wise and just smarter than everybody else because he has all that gray hair. And then this was Lori's druid, and your druid is also the person on your player board. So that was, yeah, that's my guy on my player board, and that's the guy on my cards. So that's pretty cool. That matches up. But you're going to choose one of 3 actions. The first being is to summon a creature from this row. You can play any number of cards from your hand, and you have to use magic points that are on the card of the same color. So if in your hand, if for instance this was my hand right here, I would have 4, if I wanted, magic points because there's 1 wild. But if I didn't have that wild icon, I could only play out of this hand 3 magic points to summon from these creatures. So the first action is to summon creatures from this row. The second action you can take is to grab the benefit off of those cards. Utilize abilities, it's called. So on those cards I showed you, down here on the side of the card, on this card you could get 2 yellow gems. On this card you could get a green or a red gem. And this, let's see, yeah. And this card is a wild card of my druid, and I can get any color gem I want when I play that for abilities. But when you do that, you have to play 2 cards, and then the one with the highest value, like this is a 101 and 103, if I played these for their abilities, when I utilize their abilities, I have to discard the higher one. So the 103 card would have to be discarded out of the game. When you utilize abilities, the higher number card leaves the game. The other one goes into your discard pile. So that's something you really have to think about because it's making your deck smaller. So then you would have to go back to summoning creatures in order to get more cards in your deck. And that's the way this game works. Okay, the third thing you can do is to forge an artifact. And these are the artifacts right here. And it has the value you must spend in gems in order to take that artifact or to forge that artifact. You have a wild artifact that you can get. 3 of these artifacts have an extra bonus that you get when you forge them. And once you collect those artifacts on your player board, and you can see where they go right there, there's a wild, yellow, red, blue, and green. Once you get those on there, as soon as you get 2, you can trade them in and get 3 points and a Rune Stone off the board. So you got to ask yourself, do I want to do that right away when I get 2 artifacts, or do I want to wait until I get 3 artifacts? Because when I trade those in, I get double points. So that'd be 6 points. Can I wait until I get 3 artifacts, or can I wait until I get 4 and get 10 points? Or if you get all 5 of these in a row, you can get 15 points when you turn them in and a Rune Stone. Now I played the game differently both times. The first time I played this game, I waited until I had all 5 artifacts and got the 15 points and a Rune Stone, but I don't think that's the best way to do it, because if you have an eye on some of those Rune Stones, because I think some of those Rune Stones are better than others, so you want to get those quickly. So forge a couple of artifacts, turn them in, get the small points, 3 points, but you get that Rune Stone that you want, that you feel is going to boost you and really make the game click for you. And that's what I try to do. And right early, I would forge the artifacts, turn them in, get my 3 points, and take the Rune Stones that I wanted, because there was some that I thought were really, really good. And then again, you can do it the other way, where you just save up and try to get all 5 artifacts in a row, and you can only turn these in a row at a time. So if you had 3 up on the top row and 2 on the bottom for whatever reason, you couldn't turn all those in for 5. You have to have them all the same row to turn them in. And so that's the way that works. and it is really a fun little game, and it goes very quickly. The second time we played this game, we did it in 45 minutes, so it's pretty quick, 2-player. Because you're deciding, you only have 3 things you can do, and you're trying to manage your hand and figure out which rune stones you want to get, and trying to utilize the abilities of these cards to get gems and points and do exchanges of gems so that you can get the color of gems you want and need. And that's the meat of this game. You're just going to manage the hand the best you can, build your deck, and build your engine to get to 65 points as fast as you can. Because of the similarity in name, I was trying to compare it to Witchstone and ask myself, which one do I like better? I don't know. I like them both a lot. I don't know. This came out in 2019. That surprised me. I wanted to back this on Kickstarter. We talked ourselves out of it. I don't know why we did. Then I'm sorry that we did, because after I watched it played, I really liked the way it worked. And Rune Stones does that hand management stuff, and I love that because, like in Luxor, you have a certain rules for how you can play those cards out of your hand. This is the same type of thing. So you're thinking about that and kind of looking at the creatures you're going to summon, and I mean, like this, you have these creatures that you can see that you get to choose between a red crystal and a point on that card. And when you play this as use abilities, and there's a rune stone that lets you get both of those. So I really wanted that rune stone. I think that's a really good rune stone, and not all the cards do this, just some of them. That's going to determine how you summon from the creature row. Is once you get this rune stone, when you see these come up that are split, these split cards for choices, you're going to want to grab those. So you're going to have to spend time summoning to get those in your hand, so that when you play them, you get both that benefit. On the other side of the coin, if your opponent takes that rune stone, you may want to grab those also out of creature row so that they don't get them and that they don't get that benefit. But that's the way this game is played. I mean, you are wanting to get the rune stones that you think are going to help you the most. This is a rune stone that allows you to put these white gems are wild, the white gems, but here's a rune stone that if you can pick any of the other colors, let's say red, put it on this rune stone, and for you, red is wild for the rest of the game. So that's pretty sweet. The other one I had was, when you choose utilize abilities on your turn, you can only play 2 cards and you get the benefits on them. This rune stone allows you to play 3 and you get all the benefits on all 3 cards. That's pretty cool. There's a catch though. The 2 higher numbered cards have to get discarded, and they're no longer going to be in your deck. So you can burn up your deck pretty quick. And so you're going to go back to trying to get cards to get creatures from creature row, because you're running out of cards because of this rune stone. But again, if you use it properly, it really is helpful. So those are the kinds of things you can do. And it's just a really, really fun game. And we were just learning it. We've played it twice. I really like it. As I say, I knew I was going to like this game. After I watched it played, I really liked it. So, and I don't normally buy expansions, you guys, because, hey, and you guess what? If you buy this game or you get your hands on this game, you need nothing. It's a great game just the way it is. The 8 rune stones that you're going to use in this game is all there's going to be. And so we thought we would like a little bit of variety in that. And I think there was like a Queenie that had a couple of them, which we couldn't get our hands on. But we bought this expansion called the Enchanted Forest, and I understand there's some rune stones in here that add to the variety of the game. Yeah, here's a bag of rune stones. Now there's still only going to be 8 rune stones in the game. These are just going to be different ones. So you could probably mix and match. So I think that's pretty cool. I feel like it does need that, but the game plays wonderfully. If you don't get an expansion, you really don't need it, especially if you're playing 2 players. Who cares? I mean, if you got more than 3 board games, this isn't going to matter, because by the time you revisit this again, it's going to be fresh, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I want that certain rune stone. That's my favorite one. I just think that treats me well in the game, and those kinds of things. So, let's see. And I think that's it, folks. That's all there is really to Rune Stones. It's a fun, fast deck builder, engine builder, dice roller. You got that die you roll at certain times, and managing that hand of cards It's very, very cool, and it's really interesting. There's some really nice decisions to be made in this game, and I think you'll like it if you try it. I'm keeping it in my library, that's a fact. Okay everybody, that was the games for today that we played this week, and I hope you enjoyed them, and I hope that you got something, a little more something out of them than doing just those top 10s or top 100 lists, because again, I'm able to show you more in that regard. Please like and subscribe. When you take the time to like our videos and then make a comment, that's our payday. We don't get paid for any of this until you guys tell us what you think of our video. And thank you so much for that. Have a great day, and I'll see you the next time on The Bones Collector. And remember to keep on board gaming, because it is the best doggone hobby on the planet. Bye-bye.